Hi, my name is Brian Saito. I'm from ODO. I'm the sous chef there. Thank you all for coming, and thank you for Mutual Trading for having us. So we'll start the slideshow. So what we're going to be talking about today is the art of Kaiseki. So what is Kaiseki? Kaiseki is the most original and traditional form of Japanese hot cuisine. So it's originated from a tea ceremony, so we call it chakaiseki. And originally, it was served as kind of an accompaniment to the tea ceremony, but it kind of transitioned into its whole new category. So what it focuses on is seasonal ingredients, everything from local, if it's right now autumn, fall season. So right now is the harvest season. So we really like to focus on what we can get, the best local ingredients. So originally from 1100 AD, it's by far the most traditional Japanese cuisine you can find, more than sushi, I would say. So in Japanese, we call the menu for kaiseki kondate. It's kind of the chef's creation of the menu. Traditional kaiseki has kind of a concrete course, but it's up to the chef to kind of vary and create their own story, their own kaiseki. So we'll start with the original. So we have a sakizuke. This is more of like the amuse-bouche. It's like a nice seasonal appetizer to kind of start the meal off, open up your palate. It can be very refreshing, maybe showcasing some of the local seafood ingredients. Next is a hassun. So this is originally a kind of a long rectangular dish that really represents the local seasonal ingredients. I have a couple photos of what we're doing at our restaurant. I'll show those to you in a little bit. Owan is our soup course, and Owan, because it's towards the beginning of the meal, it's a very light dish. You don't want it to be flavored too strong or it kind of ruins the whole story. It's very light. It can be something like a shinjo, like a Japanese-style dumpling inside. It could be maybe a vegetable. It's really kept simple. Next course is a tsukuri. So tsukuri is another word for sashimi. Sashimi is, of course, serving raw fish sliced beautifully, presented using seasonal decoration. Next is yakimono. Yakimono is our grilled dish. So whether this is a type of protein, it could be maybe wagyu from Japan, or it can be a seasonal like fish. It could be gindara, or it could be like some type of striped bass that you get. Takiawase is our simmered course. Simmered course is we call nimono in Japanese, and this consists of a couple different ingredients. Something we're doing at our restaurant right now was we're simmering washugyu, which is the crossbreeding of wagyu from Japan and American Black Angus. We simmer that alongside matsutake mushroom that we're getting locally from Maine. And then next option is shokuji. Shokuji is kind of like a gohan mono. It's kind of the carbs of the whole meal. It's something to kind of close the meal and end the meal. It's usually a rice dish, maybe soba, something not too heavy though, even though it is, the last course. At our restaurant, we're doing a different style of ramen. We're doing suppon ramen, which is a soft-shell turtle ramen. Another variation is like a sudachi soba. We're serving house-made soba that we slice sudachi, which is a Japanese citrus. Very nice, clean flavors to it. And then the last but not least is the mizumono. This is a style of like small dessert. It could be maybe a seasonal fruit. It could be something very nice and light, maybe a wagashi, which is a Japanese kind of a confectionery sugar dessert. So this is one of the hassuns that we're doing at our restaurant right now. As you can see, it's called hassun fukiyose. The description of fukiyose, the literal translation would be kind of the winds blowing all the autumn leaves that are starting to change color to the ground. And then within those leaves, we present our seasonal dishes. So you can kind of see we have some aemono, which is kind of like a mixed salad. You also see a seasonal kind of shinjo. We also have a grilled dish in there. And it's kind of just supposed to resemble and represent the season that you're in right now, which is autumn. This is our owan for this month. So again, this is the soup. Very light in flavor, very delicate. We use a katsuobushi. This is a bonito stock. And then what we have inside is it's a kabu. This is a turnip. And then inside is stuffed with shrimp that we get locally from New York. On top, you can see the turnip is actually carved into the shape of a kiku, which is a chrysanthemum. It's a beautiful flower that is another representation of the fall season. On top, you see very nice decorations, a little bit of yuzu zest, and just kind of, you get to really enjoy the season within these types of dishes. So one ingredient that I'll be using a lot today is a kuzu starch. So I have it right here, but what it is a Japanese arrowroot starch. It's one of the finest starches in the whole world. When you think of starch, you kind of think of cornstarch or potato starch. Those are all kind of inferior products. They're highly processed, they're like chemically bleached, they're not too healthy for you. What kuzu starch does is it acts as a supplement to that, and you get superior gelling strength, superior taste, and it's much healthier for you as well. It's used in many dishes, so everything from goma tofu, which is what I'll be serving you today, as well as many desserts like wagashi. You can use it to make mochi. It's very, very versatile. You can use it in many Western dishes as well. It's like pie fillings or even like puddings as well. It's very, very kind of like a superfood. So how do they make kuzu starch? So kuzu starch is all natural. Nothing is processed, nothing is chemically bleached, nothing like that. They actually take the root of the kuzu plant, and basically what they do is they just keep hitting it to harvest it. And then what it does is after they wash it in cold mountain spring water, it becomes this kind of thick paste. And then what they do is they naturally dry it for, I believe, up to 90 days. And what this does is it creates basically these kind of chunks. And whenever if you ever buy kuzu starch, it'll never be like a pure powder form. It'll always be this kind of beautiful chunks. So what I'll be preparing for you today, we have a goma tofu. I'll be frying that for you. And then on top of that, I'll be preparing a ankake, which is kind of a thickened dashi. And what we do with that is we basically kind of make 2 dishes in one. So you get that underneath the fried sesame tofu, which is just very delicate. It's kind of a big step to make on its own, and unfortunately we don't have time to do that today. But I'll kind of give you the gist of it and how to make it. Ingredients we'll be using today, matsutake mushroom. If you've never had matsutake before, they're the most cherished mushroom in the whole world. These actually come from Oregon and Maine in the US. They have very nice meaty texture and also really, 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 really great depth and flavor. And then we'll be using katsuobushi to make our dashi. So if you've never made dashi before, it's kind of the mother sauce in Japanese cuisine. It consists of water, kombu, and then katsuobushi. And that's how you really get that beautiful smoky flavor. We'll be using a shiitake mushroom as well as a shimeji mushroom for our ankake. Other ingredients we'll use to season will be mirin, which is a sweet cooking sake. Also, regular cooking sake. We'll have a little bit of Tokyo scallion to add a beautiful flavor, as well as grated ginger to kind of finish the plate. And hold on, let's make this dish first before I send you guys home, okay? They can see, right? Okay, cool. So basically what I have right here is just regular katsuo dashi boiling right now. In the back I have oil just to fry my goma tofu. So first we'll season the dashi so it's ready to be served. So right now I'm going to bring soy sauce. I have usukuchi as well as koyukuchi. So usukuchi, if you can see, it's a little bit lighter in color. That doesn't mean it's lighter in flavor. It's just if you don't want to maybe color the dish too much, or you want to kind of have a cleaner taste to it, you want to use usukuchi. We'll be using a little bit of both today. I have a Japanese refined sugar we call jouhakuto. A little bit of mirin. Grated ginger we'll be using towards the end, and then I have cooking sake as well. So the dashi itself, very pure in flavor, very clean. You want to start adding a little bit of sake. You don't want to put too much, it'll make it too sweet. Just a tad. Medium as well, it'll really bring out the flavors. Kind of, in Japanese we say marumi, it kind of rounds it out. A little bit of sugar. It's always about balance. You can't just make something salty. You need a little bit of sweetness to kind of balance it. And we'll taste it really quick. And there's many ways to season dishes. So if you're cooking at home, you're going to be eating, in Japanese at least, you'll be eating with white rice. So you kind of want things to be stronger in flavor, maybe a little bit sweeter, to make eating, at home different. But when you're cooking at Kaiseki, it's about showcasing the ingredients we're using, which today will be the mushrooms. So we have a shimeji, shiitake, matsutake, and then some Tokyo scallion. You really want to showcase each individual ingredient, so you keep the seasoning much, much lighter, so you really get to taste that beautiful mushroom. Dashi looks okay, so it's heating up, but we'll leave it there for a little bit. So next, we'll prepare mushrooms. So they're already cleaned, I just have to cut them. So cutting the size of the mushrooms, it's really up to you. If you want them bigger, you can cut them bigger. If you want them small, it's completely up to you. We have a matsutake mushroom, maybe a little bit hard to get for the everyday person, but if you do go to some Japanese grocery stores, if it's in the season, you can find them. So we'll use a little bit expensive though, so just please be careful. And a little bit of shimeji mushroom as well. Just need to make sure you cut the bottom part off. Okay, and mushrooms are ready. Next, the dashi is boiling, so it's ready to be thickened. So right here, I have a mixture of water and kuzu starch. Whenever you use kuzu starch to thicken anything, you need to dilute it with water first. You can't put it in directly. And also, when you're using kuzu starch to thicken, it's different than maybe if you've tried thickening things with katakuri, like potato starch. If you use potato starch, you have to take it off the heat before you boil, before you thicken, or it's going to kind of get cloudy and not the right consistency. But with kuzu starch, you actually want to put it in when it's boiling. What this does is it will make sure you get a beautiful crystal clear broth. It also won't let you get any of that kind of starchy kind of flavor, that unwanted flavor. So if you have never put starch in something before, or it's better to kind of go step little by little. You don't want to overdo it, but for this kind of small amount, you don't need too much. And just mix, and it'll take care of itself. So next, I'm gonna start frying this goma tofu. Just make sure the temperature's okay. So when you fry, you should always fry around 180 degrees Celsius, which is about 360 degrees Fahrenheit. Something like goma tofu, you have to be careful when you fry it too. It's very soft. If you don't coat it correctly, it's going to kind of fall apart as well. So. So I have my sesame tofu here. I'll just coat it with a little bit of flour. You can use starch if you'd like to. Flour's fine. It's much cleaner. Sorry about that. And it's ready to fry. So we'll just put it in quickly. And sesame tofu, you could fry for about 1 minute. You just want to get a nice crispy coated skin on the outside. And now that this dashi is ready, we're just going to put the mushrooms in as well as the scallions. Scallions, though, we'll put in towards the end just because they cook very fast. And we'll let the mushrooms cook for maybe a minute or two. Really brings out the flavor as well. While we're waiting for that, we'll cut the Tokyo scallion. There's many ways you can cut it. We'll cut it very thin just to kind of make it look nice. Mushrooms are almost cooked as well. Tofu looks almost ready. We'll keep that to the side. We'll keep it hot just before we use it. Sesame tofu is ready. We'll drain a little bit of the oil. Then we'll finish the dashi in its own. Just add the scallions. Just let it cook for a little bit. And you can really taste the mushrooms too. Matsutake flavor is very, very deep, very earthy. Okay, and we'll prepare the goma tofu. Still very hot. Ankake is ready. So you can see the beautiful mushrooms. And then just for a little bit of balance, we have a freshly grated ginger on top. Really brings a kind of a nice touch to it. You don't want to put too much, just a little bit, just to make it nice, clean flavor. And simple, very simple. Get to really enjoy the flavors of that tofu, the mushrooms, and the broth itself. So that is a complete dish right there. Yeah. So I'm preparing your dish now. This type of flavor, seasoning, like I said before, is very simple. You don't want to really put too much seasoning, too much sugar, too much soy sauce, because it's something, kaiseki is a story. When you're coming to a restaurant or another kaiseki restaurant, it's about each individual dish kind of guides and completes that story. You don't want one dish to really shine. It's kind of that gradual pace that ends, with dessert. So thank you so much.